I took a DNA test for fun. Then my mom begged me to delete the results. I never expected a simple DNA test to change my life. It all started at a family barbecue. My cousin Jake had recently become obsessed with genealogy. He spent hours researching family trees and tracing relatives he'd never even met. That afternoon, he showed up carrying a small box. "What is that?" I asked. "DNA kits," he said with a grin. Everyone laughed. Apparently, he'd bought several kits during a sale and thought it would be fun if the family took them together. Most people weren't interested. But I thought it sounded entertaining. I had no reason not to do it. As far as I knew, my family was completely normal. My parents had been married for over 30 years. I had one younger sister. No major scandals. No dramatic secrets. At least, that's what I believed. A few of us completed the tests and mailed them off. Then we forgot about it. Weeks passed. Life went on. Work was busy. I barely even remembered taking the test. Then one evening, I received an email. My results were ready. I logged in expecting to see exactly what everyone sees. A breakdown of ancestry. Maybe a few distant relatives. Nothing exciting. Instead, I saw something that immediately confused me. There was a close family match I didn't recognize. Not a distant cousin. Not a random relative. A very close match. Close enough to be a sibling. I stared at the screen. The name meant nothing to me. I checked again. Then again. Maybe it was an error. But the more I looked, the more impossible it became to ignore. According to the results, I had a close biological relative I had never heard of. At first, I laughed. DNA companies make mistakes, right? That had to be the explanation. I closed the website and tried to forget about it. But curiosity kept bothering me. The next day, I logged in again. The match was still there. The percentage was still incredibly high. I started researching what it meant. Every explanation led to the same conclusion. This wasn't some distant family connection. This person was extremely closely related to me. My stomach started to knot. For the first time, I wondered if there was something about my family I didn't know. A few days later, I visited my parents. I wasn't planning to bring it up. I honestly thought there had to be a mistake. But during dinner, the subject came up naturally. My cousin Jake was talking about DNA results and family history. Everyone laughed and shared stories. Then I casually mentioned my strange match. The reaction was immediate. My mother's smile disappeared. My father froze. The entire mood changed. I noticed it instantly. It lasted only a few seconds. But it was enough. My mother quickly changed the subject. Nobody said anything. The conversation moved on. But I couldn't stop thinking about that reaction. Later that night, as I was leaving, my mother followed me outside. The moment we were alone, she asked a question. What exactly did the results say? There was something strange in her voice. Something nervous. I explained what I had found. She looked pale. Actually pale. Like someone had just delivered terrible news. For a moment, she didn't speak. Then she asked if I had shown the results to anyone else. I said no. The next words out of her mouth completely shocked me. Delete them. I laughed because I thought she was joking. She wasn't. Delete the results, she repeated. I stared at her. What are you talking about? She looked away. I just think it's better if you don't dig into this. That answer only made me more suspicious. I asked her why. She refused to explain. I asked if the test was wrong. She refused to answer. I asked if she knew who the match was. Again, no answer. At that point, my heart was pounding. My mother had never acted like this before. Never. The woman who always had an answer for everything suddenly couldn't look me in the eye. I kept pressing. She kept avoiding the question. Finally, she said something that sent chills down my spine. Some things are better left in the past. Then she went back inside, leaving me standing alone in the driveway. I barely slept that night. My mind kept replaying the conversation. The fear in her face. The panic in her voice. The way she begged me to delete the results. People don't react like that unless they're hiding something. The next morning, I logged back into the DNA website. For the first time, I decided to contact the mysterious match. My hands were shaking as I typed the message. I introduced myself. I explained that the results indicated we were closely related. Then I asked the question that was consuming my thoughts. Do you know how we're connected? After sending the message, I sat back in my chair. Maybe there was a simple explanation. Maybe this would all turn out to be a misunderstanding. Maybe my mother was worried about nothing. But deep down, I already knew. Something was wrong. Very wrong. And whatever secret my family had been hiding, I was about to uncover it. For the next 2 days, I checked my email constantly. Nothing. No response from the mysterious DNA match. I tried to focus on work, but it was impossible. Every time my phone vibrated, I hoped it was them. At the same time, my mother's behavior became even stranger. She started calling me almost every day. That wasn't unusual by itself. What was unusual was what she kept talking about. She never mentioned the DNA test directly. Instead, she kept asking how work was going. Whether I had any vacation plans. Whether I was staying busy. It felt like she was trying to distract me. The more she avoided the topic, the more suspicious I became. Then, 3 days after sending the message, I finally received a reply. My heart nearly stopped when I saw the notification. The message was short. Very short. It said, "Can we talk on the phone?" That was it. No explanation. No details. Just a request to talk. I immediately agreed. We arranged a call for later that evening. The entire day felt endless. I couldn't focus on anything. My mind kept racing through possibilities. Maybe this was a cousin nobody had told me about. Maybe an adoption. Maybe a mistake. But deep down, I knew none of those explanations would explain my mother's reaction. When the time finally came, I answered on the first ring. A woman's voice greeted me. She sounded nervous. Almost as nervous as I felt. For the first few minutes, we exchanged basic information. Where we lived. What we did for work. Normal small talk. Then she asked me something unexpected. How much do you know about your family's history? I laughed nervously. Apparently not much. There was a long silence. Then she said something that made my stomach drop. My mother told me about you years ago. I froze. What do you mean? Another silence. Then she took a deep breath. My mother said I have a brother. I couldn't speak. For several seconds, I just sat there staring at the wall. A brother. Or in this case, a sister. According to her, her mother had carried a secret for decades. A secret involving my family. I asked the obvious question. Who is your father? The answer hit me like a truck. My mother always said it was your father. The room felt like it was spinning. I immediately wanted to reject it. To tell her she was wrong. To tell her there had to be some mistake. But then I remembered my mother's face. The panic. The fear. The way she begged me to delete the results. Suddenly, it all started making sense. Or at least, it started making a terrifying kind of sense. For the next hour, we talked. We compared dates. Stories. Memories. Everything. The more we compared, the harder it became to ignore the possibility that we were telling the truth. Eventually, she said something else that caught my attention. There's more. I felt a knot form in my stomach. What do you mean? She explained that before she passed away, her mother had left behind letters. Letters discussing a relationship she had kept hidden for years. A relationship with a married man. My father. I sat there speechless. For my entire life, I had viewed my parents' marriage as nearly perfect. They argued occasionally like every couple. But they always seemed solid. Stable. Now I was discovering that everything I believed might have been based on a lie. That night, I barely slept. The next morning, I drove to my parents' house unannounced. I needed answers. Real answers. When my mother opened the door, she immediately knew something was wrong. I could see it in her eyes. I told her we needed to talk. She didn't argue. She simply stepped aside and let me in. We sat at the kitchen table. The same table where I had eaten thousands of family meals growing up. The same table where birthdays were celebrated. The same table where we laughed together for years. Now it felt completely different. I looked directly at her and asked, "Who is she?" My mother's eyes instantly filled with tears. She didn't ask what I meant. She didn't pretend to be confused. That told me everything. For nearly a minute, neither of us spoke. Then she quietly whispered, "I hoped you would never find out." The moment those words left her mouth, I knew the truth was bigger than I had imagined. And I was finally about to hear the story my family had spent decades trying to bury.